Big Red SEO. How are you doing on this Friday? This is our 4th week. I don't have a notification yet.
Well, hit the thing.
This is our 4th week of episodes to help share some resources with you guys. We are a husband and wife team here that has an internet marketing as well as a website design company, and we absolutely love what we do. So we actually decided to go ahead and start sharing some feedback and resources for you guys. Hopefully you have a small business, or maybe you're a freelance and marketer and you can gain some information and some knowledge, but we have quite a bit to share on our task list today, don't we?
Sure. Good.
Yeah.
Got my attention now. So
yeah, we got your attention.
Sorry.
We're learning how to like operate and share across different screens. So I don't know about you, but especially lately today, I have had a shit ton of privacy policy notifications in my inbox.
GDPR. It's the European was it global data protection regulation. So yeah, between especially this last week, it's just been one after another for the emails. It's been going on for about the last month, but the last week has just been stupid. So yeah. Today was the deadline, so all companies should be compliant today, and if they're not, then there's fines and all that kind of stuff. Google and Facebook, I read earlier today, they just got hit with an $8.8 billion fine for GDPR violations. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. So
that's probably like a penny to them.
Or
like a fraction of a penny. I don't know. I don't know how much money Google has. I don't know.
I don't have $8.8 billion. I know,
right?
That,
so a couple of things that I learned with this whole entire policy, shout out to one of my Facebook friends. Hey, Vince, how are you?
Hey, Vince.
One of the things that I learned was in a privacy policy notification, a business doesn't have to put an unsubscribe link.
Yep.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
So if you're a business and you're updating your terms of service, or if you're updating your privacy policy, or any information that has to go to the client that doesn't require their interaction, and it's not just like a newsletter update or something, then yeah, you don't have to have a removal on the bottom. You should anyway. I mean, common courtesy says you should have an unsubscribe link on anything you send to anybody.
Sure. Yep.
Because otherwise I'll just mark it as spam and I'll report you as a spammer. So,
or what happens is you get pretty nasty emails because people don't have an option to unsubscribe, basically.
I got one today from a company I haven't, or not today, yesterday.
Yeah.
From a company that I haven't dealt with in probably 2 or 3 years, telling me about their new location, that they're moving to Midtown and all that kind of stuff.
With no unsubscribe option.
Yeah, no unsubscribe option. It was a fake email that it was sent from. It was sent from a generic Gmail, so there was no way to even respond to them anyway. And the fact that they have now moved 40 blocks in a direction that I don't go, they are no longer anything I'd be interested in anyway. Not that I've even talked to them in the last 3 years. So if you haven't dealt with your clients or you haven't had any interaction with somebody in several years, get them off the list. I mean, I don't want to hear that shit.
So the interesting thing is where that yellow wall is in the video, all the way in the back, that's where Conor's office is. And I can actually hear him scream in his emails sometimes whenever you get a little passionate.
A little bit.
I actually had 2 notifications. One is from, hey, Casey, how are you? One is from a teacher of mine. Actually, she, like, just point blank, she didn't do all the other bullshit that a lot of other companies do. She just said, whatever you say to me is going to stay with me, and I'm not going to share your information or your name or whatever. She made it a really personalized message, which I really appreciated. And then the other one that I got was from Mel Robbins, right? She sent it out, but she did the traditional privacy policy. But then below, she was just like, hey, I want to offer some value adds to this email for your time for like looking at it. And I actually shared it on the Big Red SEO page today. She was talking about the fear of public speaking and how to get through that. And that video was really fucking bomb diggity. I was like,
bomb diggity.
Oh, we went fuzzy.
Yeah, it's probably because you use bomb diggity. I don't know what to do with that.
I don't know. But she explained like how our body shuts down, like why our body shuts down before public speaking, why we have a fear of public speaking, which I thought was super, super awesome. Hey, JR, how are you? And then how to bust through and get through the fear of public speaking. We have a lot of friends and people who keep going fuzzy. We have a lot of friends and business owners who always continuously wants to do video or to get into public speaking, but they don't know how to start. Do you have any recommendations?
Recommendations on how to get into public speaking, or in this case, doing videos? Just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to judge. People are who they are, and if somebody really wants to judge you on whether your appearance on the video, your speech. I say ums and ahs a lot, and you either deal with it or you don't. But one of the things, years ago, one of my own little mantras was that if it's something that you can change, then change it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that you can't change, then don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So if somebody's really coming after you on something, and you can do something about it, and you want to do something about it, then go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But beyond that, don't worry about it. So in terms of videos, things like that, just start doing them. Videos don't have to look professional. That's one of the things we even struggled with for probably 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want to do these live videos and just regular videos and stuff because we thought they may not be a professional business feel and so forth. And to be honest with you, we've received more feedback from people by it not being a staged commercial.
Yeah.
It's just not what we do.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
And it's interesting, a shout back to the YouTube video. It's on Big Red SEO. It's from Mel Robbins, but she was talking about trolling, people that troll, right?
Mm-hmm.
And leave nasty comments. And there's actually a scientific study, which I'll leave all the legitimate stuff for her, but she was basically saying when people watch something, they hear a voice in their head and it's actually their own person deciphering what's being said and how it's being said. So it's less the person that they're watching that they're judging and more the internal person. So that makes sense too. Like if somebody doesn't like something that you're representing and they say something nasty or crude or whatever, just taking a step back and realizing it's their own internal shit. Basically, it's not yours. And to just keep doing what you want to do and what you want to share. One thing that I learned pretty quickly, whether it's writing or video, is I focus on one person, right? So I'm sharing a message with one person, one persona, and then everybody else that it helps ripples and amplifies and helps, right? So our focus is the business owners, but we know that we're going to get multiple other people, but they'll still be able to experience value add from what we have to say. But we just always know that our message is going towards business owners. And then so we hyper focus on that and then we don't get confused, right?
And Casey, you nailed it with your authenticity.
Can you say that word?
I can try. Authenticity. Yeah.
That's good singing.
No,
wow.
It's not. So,
I don't know why I felt like doing that. I almost felt famous there for a second.
Yeah, almost
really good.
about this much.
Almost.
See,
that's
that's
buzzing again.
So, gotta figure that out. Here, there we go. Come back.
The camera did not like my singing at all. Okay, so a couple other things. Let's briefly touch base. How is the Adobe purchase of Magento going to affect people?
I'm right there with you, Casey. So the Adobe purchase. So earlier this week, Adobe purchased Magento. Magento is a large e-commerce system. I used to use it about 15 years ago. I loved it. It gets a little complicated. If you're not a designer or a programmer, it can get very complicated very quickly. And as a result, some of the other platforms have taken off and been better. But Magento as a whole, they run an
Hey, Ron, how are you?
Hey, Ron. They run an enterprise level, so their starting price for their enterprise software is $12,000 a year, and they basically, in between that 12 and 20,000 a year, is just their license for the product. Then after that, then you've got additional fees and you've got transaction fees and all that kind of stuff. So Adobe made their purchase earlier this week. Yeah. And I think it'll be a good move. They had already started doing stuff back in December and January with an interface that they had. And I was talking to Sarah on it, and I forget what it was. I think it was CIF or something like that. But it was a commerce interface system. Sure. But essentially what it's going to do, it'll allow Adobe to provide better service to those larger businesses. There is a community version. I hope they continue with that because it was pretty awesome. Yeah. But it'll be interesting. They spent $1.6 billion on it to make the acquisition. I don't think they just threw it out there. Sure. Yeah. They've also got some plans to buy a lot of their stock back. So Adobe's making some waves and some moves right now. So we'll see what happens there by the third quarter of this year. So in August time, that whole e-commerce integration will be done. And if you're running enterprise level and spending $20,000 a year in software licensing, they will be your go-to place.
The thing that's quite interesting, I think, of this specific acquisition / purchase, whatever, one, Magento
Magento.
Yeah, so that's it.
Magneto.
Magento reminds me of X-Men, so I always say Magneto, and I think, oh my gosh, we're going to finally have X-Men in a shopping cart design world, right? No, it's not. See, I even messed it up on video. But I wonder how it's going to affect the site builders, like the smaller site builders, and we won't really know until the future. We went fuzzy again. Guys, just bear with us. So just bear with us with the voice in the video. But the thing in the scenario is, I wonder if they're going to actually give these site builders a run for their money. If so, what is that going to look like? I think it's me that's messing up the camera. Sorry, guys. We're just going to carry on here. So let's briefly chat about your article that you published yesterday.
I would really like this to work.
Yeah.
All right, now move your hand away really quickly.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. So anyway, let's talk about your article that you had yesterday. It's probably the lighting. Yeah. Let's talk about your article that you published yesterday.
I'll use my big head to block the light.
There you go. The Google reviews.
Sure. So there was an update that happened yesterday. It's still fresh. It's still kind of happening right now. But essentially, people that had star reviews and things like that on their Google My Business page, we had noticed that a number of reviews had dropped, that a number of stars had actually dropped off.
And that was a couple of years ago too, up and down a little.
Yeah, it's been all over the place a few years ago. But yesterday in particular, when I was reviewing just one of the other sites we manage, and then I did some comparison to some of our other clients, did some checking online, but it turns out that Google has gone through, and anybody who had a deleted or suspended account, it looks like Google has now removed them as being reviews, more or less chalking them up to being a fake review. I'm okay with that. You know, if a user is no longer active on the web, get rid of those reviews. And from the other side of things, that if you are doing business correctly, you're getting more reviews on a regular basis anyway. And I did a plug yesterday, a shameless plug, begging people, anybody who I've worked with or anything else, leave a review for us on Google. If you do, I would appreciate it. I can't give you anything for it.
Like that's like one thing I don't think people realize. A lot of people beg for reviews or they give discounts or promotions. That's actually against Google's terms of service. So if you don't know that, just know that you're like kind of walking into a situation where you may or may not get in trouble for it. They've taken action in multiple different businesses, especially small businesses. It seems to be the thing that they go after to try and set that as an example. But just keep that in mind, that reviews are more, get them organically from people. Now, I will say in our industry specifically, asking for reviews and receiving them has actually been pretty difficult for us. We've been at this for 7 years. And the main reason for that is if we're performing SEO or pay-per-click for a business, they more than likely don't want to do a review because they don't want other people to know about us, right? Because then we do services for these other people that find us.
And we have exclusivity contracts and NDAs. And
we're super flattered by that, right? So we just acknowledge the fact that, okay, we might get some reviews, we might not. When Google says, hey, it's part of this SEO process, like you need to focus on this, we just try to do what we can. If we have offered value to you, please give us a shout out. If we've been able to purchase services from you and received value from you, we're happy to give a shout out as well. Really quickly about reviews in business that I don't think a lot of small businesses think about is they rarely think about Google reviews. And a lot of people focus on Facebook reviews, but I want to talk about the blend of why it should be kind of equal all across the board. If you get all your reviews via Facebook, right? Facebook, at the end of the day, owns the entire Facebook platform. So if for whatever reason your business page gets shut down, you lose all that, you have to start from scratch, right? But in all situations, different platforms own their stuff, right? They own your stuff. But what I can say is there's a lot of people that are doing like social media detox where they're like deactivating their accounts completely, which whenever you do that, it deletes all of your reviews across the board, as well as like pausing and removing things. They're cleaning things up, right? So it's important to get Facebook reviews. It's important to get Google reviews, Yelp reviews, other directory listing reviews if they're important to your industry. I know in the chiropractic world, there's a lot of different stuff to tap at and go after. And
even from the hotel end of things, you know, you've got, is it Travelocity? No, the Travelocity is the service. TripAdvisor.
TripAdvisor, yep.
TripAdvisor, if you run a hotel or anything like that, TripAdvisor, you have to have reviews on there. If you're in the home services business, you have to have reviews on Angie's List and on Home Advisor, and Google has their own service also. But you need to get your reviews in all those different places. Yelp, restaurants do really well with Yelp. Bars do really well with Yelp.
One thing that you're really good at is, and I don't know how you did this, so you could briefly talk about it, but Conor has, when we go to restaurants and different facilities, they request him to snap a picture to share with Google.
Sure.
I think it's because you did so many reviews and so many different things.
So I enrolled in the Google Local Guides program. I'm a level 6. There's 10 levels and so forth. But there are rewards and things like that from Google based on the number of reviews you give. If you're taking photos, if you're doing video of the place, you get free movie tickets. I was invited for an event in California, so that's still on the books for later on this year, whether that'll all pan out or not. But there's a number of different systems. I get an alert every time I go to what may or may not be a restaurant. I'll get an alert saying, is this a place for food? And then ask for all the different reviews. Yelp has one similar, and I believe Yellow Pages tried to start one. I don't know if it ever actually got off the ground.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So,
what I will say as a business owner, freelancer, even an employee, depending on the situation, be brave enough to ask for a review, right? So like when we get done with a project, we send out an email, we include all the links. People enjoy clarity. They enjoy being told where to go instead of saying, go to Google and review me. And they're like, well, what do I type in? How do I get there? See if you can like drop them directly into your link. So that way it takes like less than 3 to 5 minutes and it makes their life easy. They're a little bit more willing to do that than if you say, oh, go find me on Facebook. Even the act of them having to type your business name in, like they might actually steer away from that. So just keep that in mind.
And the same even from products. I mean, I got a new chair for the office and it had a QR code and it said review us, and you click the QR code and I was right into the review page. So that was awesome.
That's cool. So one thing I want to recap with here, we actually had a freelancer come and ask us some advice on taking on a big project and how to be able to look and get a feel of how could they take on this big project as well as working a full-time job. We realized that this conversation is probably going to go more towards freelancers or even business owners that are trying to launch your business off. But do you want to kind of give some feedback and some advice if somebody's working a full-time job and they're trying to launch their business or do freelance on the side, how to go about that and stay sane?
Stay sane.
That was the big tall order, right?
Lots of alcohol. No. The big thing really is just to be able to compartmentalize and be able to separate it out. In this particular case, the issue was a really large website that was going to come down the pipeline. There was several hundred products, I believe is what she had. So the owner of the business needs all that put into the website. They didn't really have a timeline to say I need it all in 2 weeks. So she's able to break it up. But it was still a huge task. I mean, we're not talking, that it's a 10-hour project. We're talking this thing is probably going to take 100 hours. More than likely, 100 plus. When you look at it from that level, that's a huge task for anybody. And the big thing, and after we started talking, was that if you can break up the project into small little steps, then that allows you to complete the project a little bit quicker. I face that here. I do some of the programming, I do some of the SEO analytics stuff, I do some of the design things, and then we do some of the business end of stuff. But I generally don't come into the office and do programming for the 8 hours. I might do 2-3 hours.
That actually hurts you pretty bad. Like if you get into 4 to 6 hours of programming, like as a project manager, because I help manage him, what happens is he's fried. And then believe it or not, like you'll still get stuff done throughout the week. But even from a designing area and project managing, I have to make sure I don't do too much design or too much research within one bulk area. One thing to think about and consider, I believe, is sometimes businesses want to like have everything now. The thing is by the time you get to the quote part and winning the contract, they may not actually like I don't know, take the step forward to pay that big bill to get it down now.
Sure.
So what I'm trying to explain is like sometimes offering to phase things out or offering that solution can kind of give those business owners a breathing time frame. And then you can decipher what is the true priority. So if somebody says, hey, I want a shopping cart, 200 products. Okay, cool. We can do that. But is there like the top 10 products that you're selling, or what are you trying to sell? Kind of phase and building that. And then what happens is the shopping cart could actually pay for the designer or pay for the freelancer for doing the work. If that makes any sense at all, it's kind of like an abstract kind of thought process. But what I've noticed is business owners will come to us and they'll be like, we want this website, we want all these bells and whistles, and we want all this da-da-da-da. And then we're like, okay, great. Do you want us to do the content? They're like, no, we'll do the content, right? Meaning them. And then what happens is we create the design and we're waiting 6-8 months for content.
Yeah.
So instead, what we've done is done a pivot and shift to say, hey, phase 1, let's do this part. Phase 2, let's do this part. So that way we're getting some content from them and we can actually launch the design, and then they can build the rest of the design as their time permits. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, we're doing a real estate website right now, and it's kind of in that process where the stages are done. We've received all the logos, the colors, everything that needs to get done. So we've now got the structure almost completed, and that'd be awesome. And then at the beginning of next week will be the request of, okay, we need content for your service page and your about page. Yeah. And then it'll simmer down again. Sure. And then 2 or 3 days later, then, okay, now we need this content. And I've found that if it sucks to use the wording, but if you spoon feed the information and do it in those small chunks, you get better results. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I also think like if you're looking to jump into business full time or even freelance time, try to not to do one egg in one basket, right? So like I see a lot of freelancers kind of cut their feet off and kind of like hit that stuck muck of, oh gosh, I don't have any other business coming in, and they kind of get burnt out. And we experienced that. We've taken on big projects to where we were so focused in, and it was really, really great money. But then like mentally, we're just like fried, and we'd have to work double hard to be able to get more sales coming in and get that process going. So the phased approach allows you the time to be like, okay, I'm going to apply 10 hours a week on this project and then other hours on all these other projects, and kind of keeps all the wheels going. But then also as a creative and a freelance, it gives your brain a chance to touch different stuff. So you're not doing the same thing. Because we had one project a couple years ago that there was a lot of data entry, and they paid us our awesome bill rates to do data entry, which was super awesome in itself. But by the time the project was done, if I looked at another Excel sheet, I was going to like bop myself on the head. I mean, it was just like I couldn't look at white Excel files one more time for a while. So instead, I found how to get into the creative stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there was. Okay, so guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up now. We hope that you have a great holiday weekend. If you're looking for information, you're looking for suggestions, maybe there's some tools and resources you want us to research. These episodes are for you. So any feedback that you can give, go ahead and send it our way. You can actually put it in the comments below or send either one of us a private message. We are building these episodes for you. So we want to be able to offer you whatever the value is, as well as provide industry information. Again, we do internet marketing, specializing in SEO, pay-per-click, as well as website design. We niche ourselves in WordPress. That's the only thing we want to touch. That's the only thing we will do. We do design shopping carts if you need that. We have multiple other resources and freelancers that do all the other stuff. So if you need somebody, come have a chat.
Yeah, whether you need the social media end of things, or if you're working with other shopping carts, whether it's Magento or 3D Commerce or Xcart and stuff like that.
Sure.
While we may not do the work on that, we have the resources that we have a number of great people that can actually help with that. So.
And then within our website, we have over 485 blog articles plus. So yeah, go ahead and engage. Let us know what you need, and we will plan on seeing you next Friday.
There you go. Okay. There's a new blog article for me.
There you go.
And there's a new blog
article
from Kim.
Yay! So, all right, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.